Chairman. During implementation of our sanctions on Russia, many experts predicted a collapse of the Russian economy, turning the clock back to the 1980s Soviet Russia. However, it now appears that Russia has been able to work to mask the full impact of sanctions by spending against their future spending now. Putin has decided that his life is more valuable than the lives of Russia's children and its future. It's business as usual there, and the IMF is even predicting the Russian economy will grow next year. If this prediction holds true, that's troubling to me. It's like driving with your check engine light on. The car keeps going, but you know sooner or later it's going to be on the side of the road. To no one's surprise, Russian oil revenues are the one thing keeping their war machine going. Mr. Lowry, could you describe how the Russian economy is currently functioning and what impact you would expect if the U.S. sought more expansive sanctions on Russian energy?
Thank you, Senator Scott. I agree with both you and Mr. Singh that this is not necessarily purely about Russian resilience. It's also about Russia basically changing, selling its future for the here and now. But of course, the here and now is what we're dealing with now. And you're correct. The IMF basically is predicting a flat, maybe slight growth in Russia's economy next year. There are others out there that predict a slight decline, but whatever it is, it's not that dramatic. Now, Mr. Singh made a really valuable point, which was that we've seen a fall off in oil revenue over the last few months. So while the summer and the early fall for Russia was actually dramatically positive from a revenue perspective, it has fallen off. This could start having more of an impact on the overall economy than even the IMF has predicted. Now, could there be more that is done? I think the answer is yes, but it is all, and again, it's difficult, right? So the areas that it seems like we could do a bit more, and we're starting to see it, Europe has now put in place essentially an embargo on Russian oil and Russian petroleum products, not natural gas. The G7 has tried to put in a price cap on those very same products. We're trying to figure out how well that will work. It's still kind of, the jury is still out on that. The key area is, can we get more countries to join in? And that, as we've seen, has been very complicated. And also, could we do more on natural gas area, which again is a nice revenue provider for Russia. So those are some areas in the petroleum area. There are other areas that we could probably discuss, but that hopefully answers your question.
It does, Mr. Lowry. Another question on the same topic from an energy perspective. Would you imagine that if America started increasing its exports of energy because we increased our energy production, that would also give us another tool in the toolkit as it relates to, you just described really a blanket going over much of Russia's production, and yet we still see our allies struggling in Europe. If we had more production, would we have a stronger toolkit?
Yes, I don't think there can be any doubt about that.
I like asking questions I think I know the answer to on this one. If you tell something different, I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, no, I think that, look, the United States is a energy provider and an exporter, and one of the most fascinating parts we've seen, I mentioned Russia's adjustments. It's also the adaptability of some of our allies. Germany was not able to take in natural gas from a number of countries except for Russia. They have put in a massive investment to try to change that so that they can diversify where they get their natural gas, whether it is from Qatar, Norway, or the United States. And so I think that boosting our ability to export in those areas seems like something that could be helpful to our allies as well as obviously to our own economy.
Well, I only have 25 seconds left, so I'll save my question for the next round to Mr. Singh. But I will say that when I was on the Energy Committee back in 2014, 2015, one of the things I saw was from Lithuania, their minister came over and said, please, 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 start exporting LNG. And we were just silent on that decision, and previous decisions continue to have a domino effect on our ability to be in a stronger position from a global perspective when you need it the most.